Welcome, Internet, to the creamiest of the creamy, the sexiest of the sexy, the floralist of the floralist. That's not a word, but I make up new words. I make up new dimensions of reality, new universes for you to explore. This is Floral Jesus. Welcome.
That's a beautiful noise. A dying rat.
I'm Sean. This is Alex, the dying raptor, and Greg, the fat one.
Right, too many pads. Too many pads, too many pucker pads.
It's not pies, it's pizzas.
A pie on pizza. Like pucker
A
my
pizza
God.
pie or a pie pizza? Which
Pizza
would
pie, pie,
which
pizza.
would be better, a pie pizza or a pizza pie?
A pickle.
Wait, technically, pizza is a pizza pie. That's what they call it. I don't know.
Oh, amore.
Amore.
So you can have like a steak and
Yes,
onion pizza.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which would be amazing.
So effectively, what we'd be making is a flattened
Pie.
Which
Basically, just
links in with
flatten
your
a pie.
theory that pizza is a pie.
Yeah, that
I
would
don't
like
think
it.
it's a theory. I don't think you went, I read somewhere that
Yeah,
pizza
exactly.
might be called pie. We should search this. We should travel the world in our hot air balloons.
To the laboratory.
Okay, so yeah, fuck Wikipedia. We're gonna travel. We're gonna go around the world in 80 days in a hot air balloon, and then build a laboratory in New Mexico. Is that what we're doing?
Edit that out.
Al-JEZZRA, Al-JEZZRA.
That's a news program, dude. That's like saying. That's like saying BBC, BBC.
Al-Qaeda should be run by Al-JEZZRA. That would be amazing.
What?
Just because it's got
Wait,
the
isn't
word Al in it.
Wait, isn't Al-JEZZRA channel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it
yeah,
literally
it
is like the BBC of I
Yeah.
don't know where, somewhere in the Gulf.
And what did you? And what was the other word you said? Al-Qaeda.
No, Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
Oh, as in the
As in
the terrorist
The
organization.
terroristic organization should be run by a news program. That makes
It
sense.
Just get
Of
the
course.
news
The news might be slightly biased. I mean, there are definitely arguments the news is already biased, but it'd be a lot more biased and going in a completely different direction.
That'd be a whole different kind of bias right there. The same, like the name. God damn it, I can't talk tonight.
It's not. You know
What
what's
the hell?
So you only had like 1.5.
I have no idea why I can't talk.
What's a good name for a cat?
Yes.
John.
Get the fuck out.
What's wrong with the name John? What have you got against the name John?
From
man?
now
There's
on, we're
loads of people.
editing
I don't know.
all of Greg's input on cats.
Actually, my
John is a beautiful name for a cat. Have you never met anyone in the street and they've gone, well, not you don't go to people and go, if your name's John.
I've met
you
loads
ever-
of cats in the street and they've gone, hello, my name is John.
Have you ever
Took
met-
off their top hat.
Have you ever met someone and they've gone, my name is John? You go, oh, you're so cute. You're a fucking cat. You're so cute. John is a cat's name.
I'm so confused right now. When I was younger, we like.
I've got to
we
say,
always
I've
had
never
them.
done that. Mostly because most of the
So
Johns I've met tend to be rather beefy, hench, bald men.
you
That's
can't
just a
have, you can't
standard
have
name.
someone who is quite skinny and camp
Well, hey,
called
look,
John.
I'm not
Is that what we're
I'm not
saying?
outcasting all Johns that aren't fitting the John criteria. I'm just saying from experience, John sounds like quite a manly name, and quite manly men are called John.
And I can't think of a non-manly name.
a non-manly name. Yes, actually, I can.
Meredith.
Or Leandro.
Yeah.
That is like the Romeo.
Romeo,
What's that one
definitely
they give
not
it
a
an L?
manly man's name.
No,
Ah, Lindsay.
Lindsay is a
Lindsay,
really,
yeah,
really gay
that's
man's
a-
name.
Okay, no.
It's a nice,
Lindsay
it's a
is a
nice
men's
woman's
name.
name. Yeah, but it's a Y in it after the L-Y-N-D-S-E-Y. Did you ever watch Angel? The
No,
the spin-off
because
from Buffy.
No, because Angel was my least favorite character.
Oh right. Well, one of the bad
He gets
guys.
better.
Yeah, and to be
He's
fair,
much better
he's not the
in
highlight
some
of
of these
Angel
areas.
anyway. Ironically, even
No,
in
he wouldn't be.
even in his own spin-off, he weren't the best character. But no, one of the bad guys was called Lindsay in that years ago. No, yeah, it's quite it is quite a it's quite
They were probably trying to make the name Lindsay a bit more manly by making it the bad guy. Because usually the bad guy's the one with balls, really.
Wesley. You could never have a manly Wesley.
You could never have a woman called
Wait a
Wesley,
sec, I just
surely.
thought Wesley Snipes. Sylvester. How is that a manly name? But then
Sylvester's
you have
just a weird
Sylvester
name.
Stallone.
Yeah, that's true. Sylvester.
Adrian!
And
I love you.
Wesley Snipes. No one ever associated Arnold with being hardcore until Schwarzenegger came along.
Arnold was definitely a
always the
nerdy
quiet kid in the corner with the glasses.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, like, so Schwarzenegger comes along and goes, Arnold's a manly name, and you're gonna fuck with him, are you? You're gonna
No,
argue it.
exactly.
No, it isn't.
No, I'll arm wrestle you for it.
I know Arnold Schwarzenegger's weak point.
His balls?
Bears.
California.
Bears.
He got a bear.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
California.
That's
California.
It's actually
Go!
so good. That's our porn music, by the way. Turns any conversation pornographic.
Also, so just taking your pants off.
Well, that's it. Yes, exactly.
Talking of which, our new microphone, whatever her name, Melissa.
Melissa.
We're going to pretend it was Melissa. I don't know what the name was.
Oh, okay.
It was ages ago that we did that episode.
Was it
We've
fun?
dressed her up. We put a little dress on her, put some makeup.
No,
She's
no,
looking pretty
no,
sexy.
no, we haven't.
She wasn't making out with her most of the week.
No.
Oh, you're trying to deny it, are you?
Awkward.
Okay then.
Bound.
Alrighty then. Talking of the fucking porn music, I was
Watching porn
I
with the microphone.
obviously
Yeah,
we were
exactly.
we were having a conversation, weren't we, earlier about bloody about porn, because I have an opinion and you Alex
Yep.
have an opposing opinion, which
Okay.
I believe you agree with, don't you, Greg?
Right.
And that's the idea. Like,
Oh,
I'm the
no,
sort of
no.
person, I don't get me wrong, I don't need it to be Oscar winning, but I like a bit of a backstory. I like to watch the first couple of minutes, get into it. I don't.
Find out why the girl, their like past lives.
No, it's nothing to do with that. It's just
Find
like
out if they're on a rebound. Find out if they ate
I just
breakfast
mean-
this morning.
I just mean if you stick it on and immediately it's like titty fuck. It's like I don't even know these people yet. I don't know how they got there.
I need to know. I need to be
I
up
think
with
that's
it.
the
I need
point.
to know their star sign.
The
Are they
point.
an Aries? Are they a Scorpio?
It's just and it's like I don't mind it if it's like you get the short.
Oh, the cat's going mental. She's going mental. She's going mental. Oh, she's stopped now.
She does
She's
that.
fucking going mental, man.
But yeah, it's just like I don't mind it if it's like a shortened version of a long one. Like it's just like, oh, I'm the security guard. Are you okay? The call sounded rather alarming. She's there stroking her nipples because all girls do that when they don't want.
No.
Just as a casual thing. Like, no, I'm fine, officer. I'm just my nipples are cold.
I let you
I'm just
know
rubbing my
from
nipples.
personal experience from working
Come
with
thing.
the public that happens on a daily basis.
No,
I don't want you to show me this book, Mister. I'll just like to buy my own. Look at my nipples, and that does happen. And I do stare, and I do get slapped. It happens. It happens regularly.
Really, because I
But yeah.
stare and then I actually have sex in the closet.
Not even in the closet. I've seen it in the shop, man.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. Yeah.
At the front
Over
door.
there.
It's been a good advertisement.
Up there in like the self-help section.
Yeah, it's like, I don't mind it so much if it's just like a there's like a it was caught was rather alarming. It was like, oh, do you want to check the grounds? I already have. Do you want to check me? Skip to blowjob. That's not too bad. I mean, admittedly, I'm a little curious on how they get to the blowjob bit.
As I said before,
Yes.
circus. It has something to do with the circus.
What?
And like I said before, I'm not curious.
It has to do something to say.
Yeah.
You're going to check the grounds of it. Well, if we go and see the circus first,
Well-
and then they go out and have a good time, and then they're fucking underneath the circus tent. That is what happened.
Except they're in a bedroom.
Might
Could
be
have been
a
the
hotel.
neighbour's bedroom. Could have been a mother's bedroom.
Could have been a clown's bedroom.
Probably not. I mean, I'm not
Could have been
scrubbing
a
it
local
completely out of the
MP's
equation,
bedroom.
but unless we're getting into Stephen King territory, probably no clowns involved. You know they don't write much in the way of like scripting for porn, because most porn tends to be like, have you checked the grounds? And he's like, I already have. And she goes, would you like to check me? And you know that hasn't been scripted, because he doesn't turn around and go, yeah, sure, and whips out his cock. He kind of goes, why? You got something on you? I don't see how this is relevant or appropriate for my line of work. He's just
Sorry,
there, like
I'm very
she's trying to be seductive and get into the sex straight away, and he's there like, no, I feel like we need a cup of tea at least first to get this going. So I feel like they might be.
paperwork. We need more paperwork. We need some more bureaucracy for our sex.
Which leads
Put
us-
some
What
yellow
rooms are
tape
we
on.
going to do with it? Do it in? Are there enough fire exits?
Are there enough fire exits for the pornographic scene we're about to make?
Are there any fire hazards?
Yeah, exactly. Is there any tripping?
Other than me, because I'm hot.
Which leads us
Don't throw your bra on the floor. That's a tripping hazard. in
leads
case
us
of a fire.
beautifully onto something I was thinking about in the middle of the week. Wouldn't it be beautiful if you were watching some porn and they started a scene, so like a pizza man comes into the door and the woman's like, oh, I can't pay. How am I ever going to get away with this? And the guy goes, well, here's a payment plan. You're paying £1 per week for your pizza. And just walks off. Tension porn.
Tension porn.
Tension
I think
porn.
tension porn is the way forward.
I think
Well,
it'll solve most of the world problems if tension porn was
I
there.
think that is an extreme exaggeration.
Oh, come on.
That's,
You
I
introduce
think the
tension porn
pizza-
to Africa, no more starving.
Oh.
So much tension.
Oh my
I think
God.
I think the pizza was a really weird example as well.
I
Like,
know, I was-
you could have picked like a dishwasher,
Yeah, payment
a
plan for a
delivery
pizza.
man from Argos. I'm
See,
gonna
but
eat
I
it.
think if we had tension porn, then maybe I would care about the storyline because there's no tension to the storyline. That's why I don't give a shit about the stories. I'm like, well, are they gonna have sex? You never know. Like this porn could end up with sex.
It definitely make
Like-
the titles a little bit more inventive.
Yeah, it surely would. Yes, exactly. Woman with big tits.
Have you ever seen?
Come on face.
Have you ever? Did you ever watch when you were younger,
Seriously,
like
like-
really younger? Did you ever have like Sky in your room?
No.
No.
Oh, see, I had Sky in my room, and there was Movies 24
Hmm.
on the movies channels, and that had at 10 o'clock. It had an 18 erotic thriller, which
Wow.
wasn't a porn.
Yeah.
It was a thriller with erotic bits, and they always.
I've seen one of those before. It had Madonna in
And
it.
and I'll tell you,
Madonna?
Yeah, there's exactly one of those. It's like a courtroom one or something like that, but it's got Madonna in it, and there's just gratuitous sex scenes all throughout it.
I apologise, YouTube. Was she singing like a virgin? James Bond. Wow, much breakfast.
But like,
He does it every
I hate you. I hate you so much. Oh. So to explain, basically, there's the meme, the Doug meme.
Doog.
Doug.
Doog.
Doug.
Doog minute, baby.
And
Doog, baby.
maybe.
Baby.
I still can't say.
okay, let's cut to the chase, guys. Come on.
God, we're so distractible.
Baby, baby.
Yeah, there's this video out called the Dogue Adventure, and there's a moment where it says "much breakfast, wow," as you would on a Dogue meme, and ever since then, Greg has been torturing me with this because he knows that when he says that, I immediately crave sausages. And it works every single fucking time. Somehow, it still works. I don't
Two,
get
3
it, but
weeks
he's just
later.
he's like, much breakfast. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Again? Really? Yep, and there we go.
Guess what, YouTube? I hate Ukip. Let's discuss.
Oh, okay. It's interesting actually because I was watching an episode of Question Time and there was a guy and he turned around to Nigel Farage and he went, it was quite funny actually because he was like, right, let me speak. He was like, don't interrupt. And so Farage comes to Twitter, you haven't started yet. And he was like, yeah, well, I'm just saying. And he goes into this speech about how he's old enough to have seen the River of Blood speech. He's old enough to have seen the effect of McCarthyism, and that he knows. And I thought this was a really interesting point. He knows how manipulating people's fears and hatred, as UKIP could be accused of doing towards immigration and stuff,
Sure.
and Europe, and using it to get into power, obviously never ends well. And he went, and he actually turned around. He pretty much he practically accused him of being Hitler because he turned around and went.
Wow.
He went, these tactics have put Europe put us at war in Europe before.
Yeah.
It was like, and Nigel Farage's face was kind of like, well, that's not very nice. I've just been accused of being hit. I mean, whether he's a cock or not,
That's
you
so
don't want to be
funny.
compared to Hitler, do you? But it was actually my mate put there was like a trending thing on Facebook where it was like there was a description
Yeah.
on how the Nazis got into power,
Yeah.
like from a contemporary writer,
Yeah.
and that exact, but it doesn't say it's from Hitler, and people were assuming it was on about UKIP.
Oh,
Because
right.
it was just it would just say something like taking advantage of people's fear,
Yeah.
and using the fake idealism of nationalism
Yeah.
to make people feel they're being patriotic when they're just they're picking a specific. You know what I mean? They're just like it's just
Yeah.
us, everyone else out sort of thing.
Yeah.
And actually there's a famous writer, I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but I've been watching a lot of stuff recently.
Yeah.
And this famous writer said that it's a thing that happens, it's a reoccurring pattern in human nature, it's happening in every civilization, whereas we pick a race, or we pick a thing, they come in, they give us some benefit, whether it be economic and financial, or it be religious and spiritual or whatever. We benefit from them for a while, and then we use them as kind of like a target to build nationalism. It's kind of like, the idea is that as a tribe, the only way to stay together, to be united, is to have a common enemy.
Yeah.
You bring someone in, you benefit from them, you hate them, you then hate them,
Yeah.
and unite against them. And actually it's supposed to be a reoccurring thing. And a lot of people would accuse, and I'm certainly not saying they're wrong, a lot of people would accuse that is what UKIP are actually... That is what's happening with UKIP now, especially with obviously since they just won the European election, they've got an increase in seats in the local elections, and obviously people are worried about the next general election. Conservatives keep passing it off like, UKIP aren't going to be able to win, they can't, do you know what I mean, they've only got 17%, they need more than that, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting point, because what UKIP are standing for, the protest vote, and obviously what there's been saying about these patterns in the past, is they're not necessarily to be underestimated.
Sure.
And it's actually quite. I mean, if the patterns are something to pay attention to, actually quite a scary idea of what UKIP could become.
I know who said that. It was E.L. James.
Get the fuck out.
She's a fucking philosopher, man. She knew exactly what she was talking about when she wrote 50 Shades of Grey. She was talking about UKIP.
But no, it was actually...
Horatio Hornblower.
Because like Russell, I quite like. I don't agree with a lot of his views. Russell Brand's like a massive like Marxist. I'm not necessarily into that whole ideal, but he's got a little like YouTube channel of his own where he does the truths.
Yeah.
And the truths is kind of like he interprets the newspaper through the eyes of a Marxist, putting a view, and then at the end he always does he reads a little bit of a philosophical book or something relating to what he's read.
Sure.
And that's where I got it from, which is why I don't know the author, because he does mention it, but I didn't really care, so so I didn't remember. But
I did read. I was searching up UKIP last night actually, on my PC, and I read a bit of their manifesto. And they've got
wow! Actually, not so. It's not exactly a manifesto, because they don't have manifestos at the moment this year.
Well,
no one
has
has.
a
No one
UKIP site,
yeah.
and it said their manifesto.
Then it will be out of date, because I remember there was an argument on argument on Question Time, because someone accused UKIP of having something on their manifesto, and UKIP and Nigel Farage turned around and went, we don't have a manifesto. No one has a manifesto until next year. Do you know what I mean?
Which
Like,
they shouldn't
manifestos
have one up
don't
then.
exist.
I mean, that's just stupid. I mean,
It's
they're
very strange.
obviously keeping
Is
up
this
with their
this
site
a link?
because
Yeah, but is this actually from UKIP website, or is this a link through a social?
no, this is the UKIP
Like,
website.
because there's loads of spreads of fake manifestos going around on Facebook.
No,
and stuff.
no, this is on their actual website.
Right.
And at the start it says congratulations to us or something like that.
Congratulations to it. That's a pat on the
I
back.
can't remember what it said, but it definitely said.
Every time they look at their own website, they're like, "Oh, look how nice we are."
We are awesome.
I can't remember exact wording, but it pretty much was congratulations to us. We won whatever we just won. But it said EU. It said there was a link on there, a manifesto, and then it was quoting figures, which, to be fair, I couldn't find any evidence where they were quoting them from. But there's one bit going. In the Romanians in London, there's 28,000 of them are committing crime or something stupid like that, and it was my thought was just two things here. One, why are you focused on the Romanians in London? And two, for a party who's trying to make out that they're not racist, you're creating Romanian crime rates in fucking London. What
I will say is actually, I've watched a couple of interviews, Nigel Farage, like he had a debate, an immigration, an actual in or out of Europe debate live, Nigel Farage versus Nick Clegg, which I thought was brilliant.
That is brilliant.
Like, a lot of people aren't very fond of Nick Clegg nowadays because of how the Lib Dems obviously got into a coalition with Conservatives, but I actually quite like him. I think he's a decent politician. He's relatively open, and you know when he gets stressed, which I like, because he's kind of like he's see-through. He's not as full of shit as the others because you can see it on his face when he is, and it makes him easier to read. And so I quite like watching Nick Clegg argue, and it was an interesting point because Nigel Farage, it's true, UKIP's statistics are either have been just pulled out of their arse completely, or they're all predicted statistics that have never come through. You know that they'll always turn around and say, 485,000 people could immigrate to this country if they want to. That's true. That's the entire population of Europe that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Most of them don't want to come on.
Exactly.
It's statistics like that. Yeah, they pretty much just go. When he's probably said 28,000 Romanians are committing crime in Europe, there's probably 28,000 Romanians in London. That's probably what he's saying, and they're probably committing crime because they all do.
He didn't say 28,000. It probably was a small number, but he didn't say in Europe. He specifically aimed at London.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean to say Europe. I meant to say London.
The other thing as well I found, I mean, this wasn't on their manifesto, and the links I did find were through the BBC, there was a Telegraph one as well, and I'm pretty sure I found like a Facebooky type one, but I definitely wasn't using that as source.
Problem with the BBC...
They don't believe in climate change.
That one's crazy.
Well, who doesn't believe in climate change?
Actually, you'd be surprised. Before there was a really famous Al Gore. You know Al Gore?
Yeah.
Failed. He tried to be president, didn't he? And he failed.
He failed. He became
Al Gore,
a famous environmentalist.
He made an Inconvenient Truth documentary. Yeah. Before that came out, it was something ridiculous. Like 90% of Americans didn't believe in global warming, and after that, it declined to something like 40% don't believe in. And obviously he won like a what did he win, like a what do you call them?
Nobel, is it?
Yeah, like it was like a Nobel, but it's not. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was some prize of some form. It was like a really prestigious one because it was brilliant. I watched it. I thought it was brilliant. I was like 14. I tried to recite it for like a week. That's how good it was.
That's saying something, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Sean.
But anyway, the point is, like, before that, like, no one believed in global warming. After that, still 40% of Americans, or something like that. I don't quote that as an exact statistic, but something like 40% of Americans still didn't believe in global warming. And Britain can be even worse for it. A lot of people would still argue. I mean, it's a lot more accepted now, but for ages, people were so unwilling to agree with global warming. And a lot of people still say, we get hot and cold. There's been 2 ice ages before we were even born, before we were even as a species started. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the environment changes. It's nothing to do with this. A lot of people would still argue that. UKIP are not the only party. Conservatives did argue that for a long time, and so did Labour when they were in. It's only. Like I say, it's only like the last 4 or 5 years that Britain it's become kind of like a status quo that there are environmental issues, but obviously, like, everyone wants to accept that they're there, but no one wants to really do anything about it.
I hear what you're saying, and I know that it wasn't widely accepted 5 years ago. My point was that people are voting for this party, and they don't believe in climate change. Now, 4 or 5 years ago, that would be probably not as surprising. But nowadays, most people know climate change exists. There's enough scientific evidence out there, and it's like is it the G20 summits which discuss it on a regular basis?
G20 summit. There was a G20 summit, but if I remember rightly,
Sure,
two of the nations didn't agree to it, or something like that, and most of the environmental stuff that they wanted to do on a worldwide basis never happened.
But it was recognised.
I think
That's
America.
what I mean.
I think it was actually America. America turned around and went, "No, it's too expensive."
But these people.
That's crazy.
I think
It's
again,
crazy.
you can't quote. This is all stuff from years ago that I read.
But
I'm filled with loads of knowledge that I don't want to put it out there
yeah.
to the internet and go,
I mean,
yes, this is true.
The point
Truth.
the point I was making
I have it.
is that if
I
it's
am
getting,
the new Bible.
if it's getting recognised enough that might have happened or nearly did happen, because if I remember rightly, I think it did. I don't think it actually happened. I think you're right. One or two nations turned around and said no. But it's getting to the point where people are recognising that this might be an issue.
Yeah, I mean,
Why are these people voting for him? I mean, that's insane.
the problem I have with not with you, sorry, the problem I have with anti-UKIP, because I am anti-UKIP, but I think people are really screwing themselves over, and other parties are screwing themselves over, because everyone's argument is UKIP are racist or extremist and stuff, and
Which they are, to be
Well,
fair.
well they are, but
I said to be fair.
But
to
no-
be fair.
no one, that's, then they're not though. They are, to a point, they are in comparison to what we're used to dealing with. Keep in mind, all of the major parties now are so central, you can't distinguish between them. What is the difference between Labour and Conservative? Okay, one believes in privatisation, the other believes in deprivatisation, and neither do anything about it. That's pretty much the only difference. So to get a party extreme compared to them isn't a huge surprise. But UKIP are trying to portray themselves as an anti-racist party. They haven't got any racist policies. They've got strict immigration policies that could be interpreted as racist, but no straight-up racism in their policies. All I'm saying is, whether they're racist or not isn't a relevant point at the moment. By turning around and going, they're racist, they shouldn't be allowed in, is just making people turn around and go, well, you're being ignorant. And you're not going to listen to an ignorant person's argument. If you turn around and go, UKIP are a bunch of cocks, you shouldn't be voting for them, obviously someone who's voted UKIP's going to get defensive and go, well, hang on a minute. What do you know? Like, if you can turn around and go, you know, their policies here and here are bad. I mean, the fact that they want to leave Europe, I don't think we're ready for that. We haven't got the consumer power to not be in Europe at the moment. We'd have to pull up all of the Commonwealth countries that have been trading independently for however long, and they go, sorry guys, you're going to have to trade with us now. We're kind of taking our sovereign rights. Oh, well, we don't want to. Gutted. Right, this isn't going down. Right, this is going down. Right, war. You know what I mean? Like, right,
This is now war.
in theory, that could happen. I mean, if we try and pull Commonwealth into becoming a consumer power as a whole, and Australia went like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Countries like that.
Canada will be like, oh, sorry, okay, here's all our stuff.
It's like there's going to be arguments and there's going to be disagreements. There's going to be people wanting out of the Commonwealth,
Yeah.
and that's going to cause that could cause a lot of problems. We don't have we're not in the financial situation to go independently, and the strings we'd have to pull to survive on our own aren't necessarily strings that want to be pulled. I don't think we're ready to leave Europe yet. That's why that's why one of the main reasons I don't like UKIP. And I think that alone was a good enough reason not to vote them in the EU elections. But if that wasn't good enough, I keep in mind this is a party that were founded, like, you got your main parties like Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, and then you get parties like the Green Party, the Scottish National Party, and the idea of them, and the UKIP Party, the idea of them is to push the main parties into doing what they want. The Green Party was created not because they'd ever think they'd get in power, but to encourage Labour, who were the slight left wing, as a group, to become more left wing and be more environmentally focused. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's like tipping the weights.
Yeah.
And the Scottish National Party exists only so that the votes that they rack up, Conservative or Labour we want those votes. Okay, we'll add Scottish independence into our manifesto. Do you know what I mean? That's what these, and that's what UKIP started off as. We're an independence party. We don't want to be part of Europe. This started like 5-6 years ago. I don't know. They've been around a while now, but they were never supposed to be this popular. They were supposed to pull the weight so one of the major parties did what they wanted. So the reason their manifesto is so flawed, or their previous manifestos are so flawed, and their next one probably will be still rather flawed, is because they don't really have an overall plan. Nigel Farage even turned around and went, "I'd be a terrible Prime Minister," because that was never what they were invented for. They never saw themselves getting to there. So their manifesto isn't based around running a country. It was around pulling a certain extreme view and putting it into the limelight, which is what, to be fair, they've done. And that's why they shouldn't get into power, because they're not qualified for it. They're not ready for it.
That's incredibly dangerous.
Well, yeah.
An extreme view is still incredibly dangerous. The other thing I will say of that little speech you just gave us there, which I definitely thought you should be standing up holding a monocle, staring into the sky while you did your little political rant, was the reason I was searching stuff up was because I didn't want to turn around and go, you know what, they're just a racist party. Because I haven't made that many comments on UKIP lately because I don't know enough. But everything I found, I found various of links and animal protection sites who were trying to make people aware that they wanted to reverse the hunting ban. They wanted to reverse the smoking ban, which is ridiculous.
Well, what I will say is the reversing the hunting ban has been a policy for the Conservatives since forever.
Which I know.
It's not even an extreme. It's a minor right wing policy. My nan wants the hunting ban gone because and I'm not saying that I don't agree with that, not at all. In fact, I had quite an intense argument with her over it. But the point is, that's not considered particularly extreme. Like I say, the Conservatives would have it through, but unfortunately, so many animal rights activists around, it's difficult to put a law like that through.
It doesn't matter if it's extremist or not. The point is, I don't vote for Conservative. Because that's one of the reasons I don't vote, and I certainly wouldn't vote for UKIP because of that's one of the reasons as well. But reversing the smoking ban, I think, is absolutely insane. But I think these are slight little issues, but they need to be addressed. People need to talk about those issues.
They are, but again, the non-smoking one, I think more people. I think it's again that's something that's. It's a relatively even split. Like with the non-hunting ban, to be fair, the non-hunting ban, I think more people are against it than are for it. The non-smoking ban, I think, is a lot more even. Non-smokers tend to be all for the smoking ban.
Yeah.
Smokers tend to be less up for it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
There's less smokers all the time as well, aren't there? There's less smokers all the time as well.
Is that true?
There's less new smokers. I don't know about carrying on smokers. Well, like less, there's like a sharp. I'm not sure about sharp decline, but there is a big decline in young people starting to smoke.
That's not hugely surprising considering how much it was promoted in the 80s.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there should be a decline. I don't know how much it's declined more recently.
Well, also that's little things.
Don't get me wrong, it was a positive surprise. Yeah. I'm quite happy about that. I want people to live longer. Yeah. So they can star in my porn films. I need more people in my porn films.
Do you know, I was in my...
Because currently you don't have any.
In my sociology class, we used to do something...
Currently it's just a running video of a bedroom with no one in it.
I used to do something in sociology, which actually I remember you mentioning to me. There was a guy who worked for Google who was quite famous for these sort of like ideologies, but it's the idea that people can live longer with the advanced technology. We'll be able to maybe double, triple people's lifespans, because obviously you can just slow down genetic aging, etc., and there is the idea that our technology would one day be advanced enough to, make us almost superhuman in many respects. We could be stronger, we could be faster, we could develop ways to make ourselves do stuff that we could never do. Basically become a sci-fi film.
Not only that, Google have paid him a fuckload of money to carry on with his research.
Yeah, and
Upload.
he's just one of many who believe in it, and I think it's a fantastic idea. Of course,
Yeah.
of course, that's possible. A lot of people would argue either it's not possible or it's morally wrong to try, and I disagree with both of those counts. I think it's definitely possible. We didn't think most things were
Of
possible.
course
then.
it's possible. Have you never heard the song Fame? Fame! I wanna live for... Is that how it goes? I don't know, is that how it goes?
Bro, I don't know. I think that was post my listening to Gaga time.
What was it, Gaga? It's a famous 80s song, Fame.
You thought that
Oh right, I thought you were talking about. Never mind. Forget. I thought you were talking about a Gaga song. Never mind. What?
Do you know what song
He
I'm
quoted
talking
an
about?
incredibly famous 80s song. I don't know if it's called Fame, but
It is called
that,
Fame.
I wanna
It's
live forever. I wanna learn how to fly.
It's
That
definitely
one.
Fame. That
But,
was very like it.
Who is it written by?
Oh, you see
Well,
now.
it's not Lady Gaga, I can tell you that.
Okay, well, fair enough.
It was in Flashdance, wasn't it? That's
I
where
don't
it got
know.
famous. It was
I
in
just
Flashdance.
I know the song. I don't know it's from. Anyway,
If
so
I'm wrong, tell me in the comments.
but yeah, it just well, I think a lot of the comments might be UKIP based now after this episode. it might
If you UKIP voters, please comment and tell us how much you hate us. We'll reply with nothing.
by all
We'll reply with sending ninjas
By-
to your house.
by all means.
We have ninjas in the closet.
Yeah, exactly. We will have ninjas in the closet. And they will
See,
come out of the closet.
that seems like a slightly
Enter.
more extreme right wing for you. Just, you don't agree with our views, right? Well, we'll send ninjas. I say extreme right wing actually, extreme left wing. Okay, are very capable of doing that. The secret police and the communist regime.
Yeah, that's true.
And the
Everybody's capable, really.
the
Mostly.
Soviet. Well, I say communist. The Soviet regime in Russia. It's politically incorrect. It was just communists in general have people killing people for the sake of it.
Right. So I know you haven't heard my accent for a little while, and for some reason I completely zoned out there. I think it was just a combination of what time it is and the amount of alcohol I've consumed, but I completely zoned out. I have done quite a lot of research about the UKIP stuff, and actually I'm quite passionately against UKIP as well here. But for some reason that was not exactly within my powers to speak or give opinions in the last, 20 minutes.
Were you passionately thinking about cats?
I was.
Yeah.
Actually, I was passionately thinking about literally nothing. But you know what? I do that quite a lot, staring. So,
I
yeah.
didn't intervene at any point there. I
yeah.
just let you hang yourself. Just keep talking until I get to my point.
I just, yeah, that's kind of what I do, I'm sort of like a rhino with conversation. I'm like, well, I know where I'm going, so nothing's really going to get in my way. We thought we'd just throw in something short and sweet at the end. And I'll just throw in one of my random stories from, my past lives. Ample.
Past lives?
Yeah, past lives, yeah.
From the U.S. Americas.
From America.
Americas.
Land of
There's many Americas.
There are.
Yeah,
Well,
there
there's
are.
North America and South America.
North America,
isn't
South
there?
America.
You
There's
just-
Bermuda.
But you made it sound like
The
parallel
United
universe.
States of Americas is because there's multiple Americas.
Yeah. The
Alright,
Americas.
smart
There's-
ass.
Anyway, go on,
There's the
America.
West or whatever. Well, but actually, this isn't about England. I worked at a pub a while ago. I was a chef for 5 years. There was this guy who used to work at my pub. We're not really sure how he ever got a job there because he was so bad that they actually cut his hours one time. And literally he didn't work there for a month. We thought he'd just been let go. And one day he just pops in and he's serving again, and we're like, the fuck are you doing back here? He's like, oh, well, they won't give me any hours, so me and my mom came down and she got me more hours. Which was hilarious. His name was Jake, so we called him Shaky Jake. Funny enough, actually, he still works there. Which, he's got to seriously be able to take some shit for being that resilient working at this horrific establishment. Anyways, so one day, we like to take the piss out of him. And one day, he comes in, and we got orders on and everything like that, but I just wanted to have a laugh. So everybody was sort of in on it, but I told him, there was a another chef there called Dave, and this guy Jake walks in. I'm like, Jake. Yeah, we're trying to. Something came loose on one of our pieces of equipment. We just need a screwdriver, but Dave's left-handed. So could you just go to the bar? They've got a left-handed screwdriver there. The left-handed one's got a blue handle, and the right-handed one's got a yellow handle. And he's like, okay. So he disappears, and we're all like trying not to crack up. And we're like, he goes up to the bar.
Just to clarify,
and just sort of forget about it.
this is just a normal screwdriver.
Yeah, just a normal screwdriver.
So there's no such thing as right-handed and left-handed screwdriver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Just double checking that I got the check.
Yes, and now we're all up to speed.
Forward march.
Yes, exactly. So I kind of forget about it. 5 minutes later, he comes back. He's like, I can't find it. I'm like, oh, okay. Search for Steve, one of the managers there. I'm like, search for Steve. He'll know where it is. He's like, where is he? I'm like, I don't know. He's probably in the meeting room. So he goes down to the meeting room, comes back. He's like, he's not there. I'm like, okay, well, he's probably out the back then. Goes out the back, comes back, and by this time we're like all like sort of forgetting about it because he's been so long searching for Steve. Comes back and he's like, I can't find Steve anywhere. Right then, Steve walks in, and so he turns to him, and just like barely gets half a sentence out, which we couldn't hear because it was loud in the kitchen there on the other end. He barely even starts his sentence, and immediately Steve just turns and he's like, all right, you twats, and like every single one of the chefs is just like on the ground, like immediately, like, ah! He's like, which one of you twats told him to get a left-handed screwdriver? Immediately Jake just like marches right out of the kitchen. We're like, oh dear, Jake, you are not exactly cut out for this environment, are you?
The harsh wiles of the kitchen.
Anyways, mildly amusing stories with Alex Joyce.
Okay, we're done.
Okay.
Goodbye, internet.
Goodbye.
Click, subscribe, whatever that thing people do at the end of videos, do it.
That
Do
thing.
it all.